So, there we are again, another Sunday night. Fehoplco, I love it that you are here again. And tonight we have something very beautiful to discuss. We are going to talk about the ego, why you created it, and what the effects are and how we can get loose of it. So, how can we go to at least start letting go of the ego and its effect? Well, the Fehoplco today, they, once again, I think I leave it in here as start. These qualities will be really helpful today with today's exercises and the knowledge we will gain about ourselves. It is really helpful for you to tap in these qualities of yourself, and from there you will find that if you want to find the truth, these will help you to find it sooner and easier and just more flow in it. So if you can, tap into it. If you are stuck somewhere inside your head or in a situation and you think like, oh wow, what should I do? Think about the Fehoplco and remember, and you will see if you practice this, it will relax you and you will see the fun of it. So keep repeating the Fehoplco for yourself, just as a helpful guiding mechanism through your journey. So today then, the question I want to start with is, are you actually ready for the truth? Most people say, yeah, I want to know all about the truth. Well, that's the thing. You cannot know the truth. You can only experience the truth. So last few weeks I gave a couple of lectures about it and about the basics you need to know, again, what is helpful to know to come to the truth, to find your truth, and to learn how to deal with it. Did you only look at the presentation and thought, oh, well, that Alex, he knows quite a things, let me remember it, and whenever I just put it with the rest of my knowledge, and then in the next discussion I have with friends, I have something nice to say? Or did you actually try to do the exercises at least a couple of times during the week from the one episode to the next? It will make a big difference for you, for your journey, if you do that. Today you will see that some of the exercises were quite helpful to not just understand, but to see that it is working the way it is working. And I will give you later an example. If I tell you one of the end things, how things work, you will now see, oh yeah, that's true. But if I told that the first lesson, you would have said I was crazy. So that is why the exercises are helpful. Also today's exercises, next week we are going to talk about some guiding mechanisms for you to find your own truth, and it will be of great helpfulness for you to exercise today's exercises. Well, so to go on to the truth, are you ready for it? And what would you say about the idea of somebody telling you to not do something and then a few minutes later does it himself? Not because it was playful, but something like, I don't want you to do that, I don't like that, and within a few minutes that person does it himself. For most people this will not sound fair, but like you have seen in the past sessions, if you have looked very honestly to yourself and to what I have explained, you cannot other than see that this is how it's working already. And the same like in the irritation session, I said, don't judge yourself because now you see you are doing it. Actually be happy that now you see it, so you can change it. You can start to change it because you see it. If you don't see it, you cannot change it. So that will be for today also a very big line. Remembering. If you ever start doubting what you want, do I want the truth or do I want something else? Is it too scary for you or whatever? What helped me were these two questions to ask repeatedly to myself and then I would actually be at ease and think, yeah, I know what I want. Would I rather be happy or would I rather be right? If your answer is I would rather be right, then I would like to ask you, the last time you were right in a discussion or an argument, how did you feel after it? For me, maybe it's for you different, but for me it has always been like this. Yeah, see, I was right. Yeah, well, okay. And now what? There's nothing next. It's not like I felt, yay, I'm happy, I was right, and now I'm all joyful and I can happy walk around. No, absolutely not. So it's a very helpful question to ask the first one and remember the last time you were right, how did it actually feel? Did you get all that happiness you wanted? The second one is a little bit deeper. You started this quest, you're following this course, and you have had somewhere the question, what am I? And that's the second question. Do I want to know who I think I am, or would I rather know what I am? So you see the distinction between what you really are and what you think about what you are. So let it sink in. Use them whenever you feel like troubled. There's another question. Before we go on to the ego, I would like to ask you to think about what does define us. Are it our actions or are it our thoughts? When I ask this question to a lot of people, they say, well, it's actions because you are what you do. So if you are a nice person, you do nice things for other people. So when I see somebody doing something nice, it is a nice person. I'd like to ask then, of course, if I have a colleague and I really hate that person, but she asks me something and I think, yeah, well, we work here both, and I do a thing for her, and it might even be something nice. Does that make me a good person? So when I do a good action with all these hateful thoughts, am I still a good person? Well, I'm not going to judge somebody who does it or who does not, but I know for myself, if I feel these thoughts, I will not feel like a good person. So just remember that if you are judging yourself or others by what they are doing, go back to that state. It doesn't say so much. So, the ego then. If you have some experience with spirituality, you might have heard this term a lot. And yeah, there's a good reason for that, because most spirituality actually points towards where you want to go if you want to find yourself. And in life, you will find out that the closer you come to find out who you are, the happier you get. Where does the ego come from? Well, in the first session I told you I had this little story about finding the truth. A lot of you people read it also on my Instagram, and it says the truth is always silenced and the voice in your head is everything but silent, so it cannot be the truth. Now we're going to see, to look a little bit in our mind, and we will, for today, we will go with your being that is experiencing itself is inside your brain. So this changes along the way later, but for now that's okay, because every average person closes their eyes, they will be thinking, and thinking is inside the head. So we will just go with that, and for today's session we will say, here is your being, and here I made a red dot is the ego. Your being that is silent and already knows everything silently is completely healthy and okay. Somewhere along your line, the timeline, you have thought about, oh, what am I? And that thought is the question that gave a lot of fear, and from that fear you created the ego. So, what am I? Maybe I don't know what I am. I need something where I can ask what I am, or something that could tell me what I am. So, this beautiful creation, your mind, with all its power, has created a little substitute mind within its own mind. So, there's actually no distinction, it's all playing inside your own mind, but you gave it these credits and now it's autonomous. Why is it autonomous? Why does it need to be autonomous? Because you need it to have authority, so you can ask, what am I? And if you would ask, what am I, to something that has no authority to you, you would never agree with the answer. So you gave it a lot of values and autonomous feelings and everything, so it could be a little part of its own, and infused with your own great capacity of thinking, you made it a wonderful, complex thing, organism. Today we will not speak about everything of the ego. We will just go through this. You now know already where it comes from, and it's born out of fear. And we will go through some characteristics and some major outlinings that will always show you what the ego does and what the basics is, where it drives on. So, why am I not going to spend 4-week sessions with all about ego? Well, it's possible because it's not that important for you to know all of it. The main thing that is important here is that you get to know your truth. Because once you get to know your truth, you don't need the ego anymore and it will just fade away. So, for now, we know we have a healthy mind, it's the truth that you are, and you've created from there on the ego. Because it was born out of the not knowing, out of fear, out of the not knowing, it doesn't know. So what does the ego do? It looks outside itself, then sees something, judges it, and then decides, okay, that's not me, so I'm not doing it. Last 2 sessions we have seen that the judgments are also forgetting. And this is why. If you would ask yourself, what am I? And you would say, I'm not that. But then you remember again that you are also doing it. It can never give you some sort of satisfaction answer. So you're actually giving this trait in order to get some security for establishing who you are. You give the ego the possibility to let you yourself forget. So that explains the last 2 sessions, why it was happening, what happened. And once again, don't judge yourself. In the end, you will see that this is constantly inputted by your own mind. The ego, because it has autonomy, it also needs a drive to survive. So you created this beautiful thing, and now you also created that it wants to survive. We just saw that this one is looking outside itself, says I'm something not what you actually are, but you don't want to see it. So it creates a lie and says that's true because you forget about yourself. That's okay. Now, the ego is afraid to lose its capacity for you to lean on. So it begins to fear for what is not you to not be true, out of fear of loss of itself. Well, I know this is a lot of information to just process and a lot of twisted double inception kind of stuff, but it's all in a sense of logic, and I hope you see the logic because this is the basic of your ego. When I grew up, we had these little carbon board glasses, and they were fun because when you looked at some picture with a blue and a red figure on it and you blinked your eyes simultaneously, unsimultaneously, then you would see the puppet moving. And it was fun. And it also directly is a beautiful example how filters work. So we just stated the ego, judging, forgetting. The ego, who judges, puts a filter in front of your vision. And because you have this filter, you will not totally see everything. Like when I put this, I'm sorry. Still seeable? Yes. When I put this over here, you see, you only see the red one and not the blue one anymore. It's still there. You see. And if I put the red one, you only see the blue one and it's still there. This is also how the ego operates. It places this filter in front of your vision, and it you simply don't see anymore what is really happening. There are a lot of examples for this working. Let's say, for example, you have decided that somebody is a negative person. It really doesn't matter anymore what that person does the moment you have decided that that person is a negative person. It can give you flowers and you will just say inside yourself, see, he wants to buy his way out of my opinion about him. And you still don't give him the credits for being a nice person. Well, you can paste it on everything and you will see that this is about how it works. Well then, it is blocking thoughts and it is keeping you away from yourself. We already said the truth is silent. In spirituality, you have seen or heard that there's a lot about the meditating state. And it's all about keeping your mind silent. Why? Because then this one will feel its existence again. But as long as it is distracted from itself, it cannot not be itself. You cannot not be yourself. You can only be hugely distracted by something in order to not experience yourself as who you are. So this beautiful mechanism is constantly overflowing with your information. Last week we saw, for example, everything you look, you see memories. These memories are present memories. They are present of the moment you look and constantly changing. So the ego, it keeps your mind really busy so you don't feel silent, because the moment you could really feel silent once, you can not always, you will not always, but you can, if you know how, fall back into who you are. And that's the moment you don't need the ego, you don't even want it anymore, because from there you will see what it is doing for you, and it's actually making you unhappy with false promises, etc. So yeah, it keeps going. Now, I had one other description about the ego. Let's say this is you, and to color yourself you need all these colors, and you can say the colors are symbols for emotions and behaviors, and maybe opposites and not, but that's, you can make it as complicated as you want. For now we just do it like this. As we have seen, the ego looks outside, judges something, and then forget it is doing it. So if I ask now who you are, you can only paint with these colors you have left who you are. And the more you look outside and the more you are judging, the more colors that are available for you to color yourself as who you are losing. Until the moment you have like a few colors left. In reality, those most likely are the ones you have stated positive. So I'm a nice person, I'm a good person, I really lovingly, all those kind of things. And those are the only qualities you can describe yourself as with. So the picture you are painting from, you are able to paint from yourself, looks something like this. And now you are at this stage, you are not feeling happy, you know that, but you also don't know what you're doing wrong. And if you look around, you feel all this anger and you see this ugly world because you're judging everything, and it doesn't feel good. And you cannot feel good if you don't see yourself as who you are. So, remember, the moment you judge, you take a color of yourself away from yourself. The moment you say, that's wrong to do, you are also saying, I'm never going to do that. The moment you say that to yourself, I'm never going to do that, is the moment you make yourself blind for that spot. You will just block it out, and if ever you will do it, you will simply not notice it. I have shown you in the last weeks the exercises, and if you have done them, you actually can now relate that what I'm saying is true. So, I think this is enough about the ego itself, because like I stated, it's more important to focus on the side that is already healthy, the mind that is already healthy, the knowing that already knows. You don't have to learn new things, you actually have to unlearn things and let things go to come back at who you are. This week we will do a funny exercise, a couple actually, and it's all about the freedom of thinking. And you would say, yeah, I'm a free thinker, I already am not so much I don't really hold in my thinking, but I challenge you to investigate that deeper, because the moment you have judged some behaviors, you will also not allow the thought to come into your mind of doing that behavior yourself. So if I see something happening I don't like, and a reaction of me would be like screaming, don't do that, and I have seen somebody else doing that, then I will hold myself back from that thought. I will try to not have that thought, because then I'm afraid I might do that. Thinking is not the same as doing, and it's also not, this exercise, disclaimer, is also not to infuse doing things that are not okay. It is about thinking them and see that they don't change you. You are not changed by thinking about a situation where you would, I don't know, hit somebody on the head. You can think about it all you want, and you can put all your anger in it and really feel it. And that's exactly the thing I would advise you to do with always. If you have a thought that you don't like, don't try to block it, because then again you will make your frame of reference smaller and smaller. Instead, allow the thought. The thought doesn't do anything. You are always with yourself to decide whether you are going to do something or not. Right now I'm standing here inside a room with a door, and I can just think about slamming the door really hard. And again, and again. And I can do that all day long, thinking about that door and slamming it really hard. And at the same time, I can just walk through that door and not slam it. That's a relaxing thought. You can actually think about all the things you can think about without the feeling of you need to do it. So, to make this example more tastable for you, looking at other persons than your partner is, in my surroundings, for a lot of people a big issue. So when a girl and a guy are together and the guy looks at a girl or the girl looks at a guy, then there is some struggle. And for a lot of people, I believe they have actually decided that they don't like it from the other person, and thus they are telling themselves, I cannot do that myself. So they are walking around, and even if they see this wonderful person and they feel, oh, they are directly shut off, turn around, and don't even think about that feeling anymore. They don't think about that person anymore because they are so afraid to do that kind of thing where they are afraid of. They don't even think about it. They don't allow the feelings. They have literally blocked themselves from feeling feelings. Yeah, that's no fun. And it's not helpful at all. It will only make you unhappy, and when you are getting unhappy in a situation or in a relation, the surrounding will not get better and better. No, it will also get worse and worse. Maybe you have told yourself you can never be rich. It's just you are not deserving it, or yeah, I don't know what reasons you have to say to yourself, I cannot be rich. Allow the thoughts about being rich. Maybe you said it's not spiritual to think about money because money is the root of all evil. And the funny thing is, just a side note, there where it said the money is the root of all evil, a few minutes later they come by with a little bag to ask for money because they want to keep existing. So think about how true the message can be if that's happening. But aside of that, try to open yourself up. Try to let everything go. Feel that freedom of just being allowed to think every thought. being rich, looking at another person, looking at a coworker. I don't say you have to act on it, absolutely not. Just feel it, let your thought go. The moment you feel like, oh, this is wrong, maybe you can turn around from the situation, go away, and then think back at the situation and feel and let the thoughts go you were just blocking. It will give you this immense, immense growing feeling because now you are finally allowing a part of your being to come back. It's like these colors. You are going reversed because with allowing the thoughts, you can actually step by step regaining more color of yourself because you're not blocking it anymore. You're not this tiny, almost colorless person. You're getting this, it's okay, let me do it. So I can only tell it to you. It is up to you whether you do it or not. I would ask you to at least do this 3 times this week, to do it as long for as long as necessary to get that feeling I am talking about. So you feel this relaxation, and you can easily do it in bed. Lie down in bed and think, what thoughts am I really blocking for myself? You can already a little bit find out. Maybe it's some fantasy with your girlfriend or friend, or I don't know, and it's all okay. Just let it be. Let it go through your system and enjoy. Enjoy the feelings it gave you. If it makes you really angry or fearful, it doesn't matter. The feeling does not hurt you. Just let it go. It's okay. And grow. Grow, grow, grow. I wish you that, really. And next week we will go to the guiding system that is hopefully going to help you more. But in order to be able to sail on it, to find your way with it, today's exercise is important. So if you haven't done it before next week, it's okay, just wait with the next episode or watch it. But there is a tricky part, but I will explain that next week. So we are already at the end. I don't even know how long. It's again 30 minutes. I like that time. I hope you too. And thank you very much. I will post the challenge again on the Facebook site. Feel free to share your experience there. And I will say, Fehoplco, have a great evening, have a great week, and we see each other next week. Thank you very much.